We're hiring people who just need a fucking job.
Yeah, it's true.
Who have a degree.
That's very true.
That can hit the mark of being able to qualify under the state of California and say, guess what? Here's your keys, here's your roster, enjoy. But you don't want to do a lesson plan? You think you above professional development? You got all the answers, but you a first year teacher? You're a teacher who never done this before?
Wow.
Bro, agents of chaos. You have to understand that you can't just step in this damn classroom and wing it, bro. And then you expect for the kids to just sit down and be quiet and be meek and mild while you get it together. No, the same type of excellence that you are requiring from them is the same damn excellence you should be giving to them and that I'm requiring of you. That is because my school is not for everyone. You have to be willing to not only identify with our mission and vision, you gotta be willing to like ride this shit out. This is hard work, right?
Hard.
Like you gotta be willing, this has to be a passion.
So Tiffany, you are a wife, a mom, an educator for 20 years, and you are also the founder, superintendent of Garvey Allen.
Yes.
And one of the things that I find most fascinating about that, the school, is one of your taglines. It's building schools, disrupting systems, creating solutions.
Yes.
What does that mean?
Well, for the majority of my career, I have been building systems for others. So it was time to take the system into my own hands and build it myself for the population of children that have been disenfranchised for so long. So when you talk about building schools, we're in our 7th year of building our first school.
Wow.
Started in a building, 4 squares, if you will, or a square. And now we're on a campus of 33,000 square feet.
Wow.
And so building schools is what I do. I have a proven track record. I can definitively say that confidently. I build schools.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what inspired this whole journey for you to start a school? Because I couldn't imagine it's easy, and I could damn well imagine it's not cheap. Both when it comes to sanity, finances, all the above.
Productive disruption comes to mind. And we all know that there's disruption that happens in general. But when you are a productive disruptor, you break shit down to build it back up and make something even more beautiful, more productive stand in its place. And so what I did was disrupt a system that was never created for Black and brown children in and of itself in the first place, and say that I can take a student and transform them into an achiever. Because I am in the thought process, Johnny, that for so long we've continued to do these antiquated processes, antiquated systems in education, such as calling our kids students. Where has that gotten us? So let's level it up. You're not a student, you're an achiever. And in order to achieve, you have to be led by achievement guides, which is what we call our teachers. So that's the intentionality behind Garvey Allen. It's the type of intentionality that breeds productive disruption instead of someone just being an agent of chaos.
What do you mean an agent of chaos?
You know, agents of chaos are all around us. You know, as I mentioned, when you disrupt systems, there has to be some type of productivity that comes out of it.
Right.
But let's be real, right? Like, there are people in this world that just disrupt shit just because they can, right?
Yeah.
And so I think right now is that moment we all can say we're living in a agent of chaos type of society.
Right.
So when you say agents, or when I say agents of chaos, it's really those first year teachers who don't want to listen, don't want to necessarily take constructive criticism, even if it means to be able to be the best teacher or achievement guide they can be. It could be your OG teachers, those with tenure that just won't retire, right? And always have something negative to say, right? These are agents of chaos. They're all around us. But it takes people like me and you and dope educators out there to truly be productive disruptors and be able to look at and look around and analyze and find those agents of chaos in our organizations, in our schools, and in our lives, because those are the people that are like vampires. They suck the life out of what you're trying to accomplish.
There's so many ways I want to go about this. So you're a DOPE educator, and the acronym is Delivering on Promises of Equity.
Yes.
What made you come up with that, and what does that specifically mean? There you go.
You know, we always say, oh, that's dope, right? Like, since I was a little girl, I've always said, oh, that's dope. And it's just like a colloquialism that we use across cultures, I think, that really makes us feel like, shit, that's dope, right? Like, it's like just instinctively the first thing that comes to mind. So I said, well, it needs to stand for something, right? And I remember it was COVID-19. We were all at home. Life was lifing, right? You had the uprising of Breonna Taylor and George Floyd and Ahmaud Arbery. And all of these corporations were like, we're going to support equity and inclusion, right? It was like the world finally came to its awakening, right? So I'm like, you know, instead of the woke culture, right? How amazing would it be to come up with an acronym for DOPE so we could be a dope culture? And so to fall in line with this awakening of equity and inclusion, I said to myself, you know, this is one day gonna go away. This is not gonna stay forever.
Yeah, of course.
Like, it's just not. And here we are 5 years later, and we see that it's happening, that all of these corporations, all of these entities, these institutions, these schools are taking away diversity, equity, and inclusion. And so having that foresight, Johnny, I said, you know, we gotta hold them accountable. So delivering on promises of equity, that's dope. Delivering on promises of equity, ensuring that all of the people who said they were going to deliver on promises of equity, making sure that they do just that. And in order to be that, you got to be a dope educator. And an educator is anyone, right? You're an educator. You know, your mom was an educator, because the moment you start instilling wisdom, right, you become an educator. And I think that we all can say at a point in time that we've benefited over these last 5 years of having diversity, having equity, having inclusion. And so, in essence, being a dope educator is standing firm and saying, hey, y'all said this is what it was. Y'all promised these diversity programs. You promised to find equity in our schools and hiring practices, and we're not going to stand down from that. We're going to do that one way or another. And I can say that we do that in my own institution. And that's why it's so important for people to build their own. This is the time so that you can, you know, productively disrupt a system that looks like it's going to turn its back on us as dope educators.
There's a couple of different things that I think I want to ask, specifically when it comes to, like, let's say DEI, right? I know for mainly within the political realm, do you speak about DEI in the same way they weaponize it, or how do you see, including the diversity and the equity and, inclusion specifically within schools, and how does that specifically lack?
I don't obviously feel as though the weaponization of DEI is appropriate. I think that we've come to a place in our world where we can literally be in one room and there's inevitably going to be some differences in that room.
For sure,
right?
Absolutely.
And so it shows up in schools, and I always tell people schools are a microcosm to societies, because you have all these little people,
right?
And you're, teaching them these norms the best you can,
right?
And when you look at a school, you can start seeing the effects of DEI in that an institution like our school has been created, and every baby that looks back at an adult can see themselves in that adult, right? Whether it's the background they come from, whether it's the melanin in their skin, we know that kids cannot become what they do not see. And so when you talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion in schools, I think that is going to be the biggest moment for us,
right,
to really say, hey, there's data behind this that says when kids are taught by educators that look like them, are from the same communities as them, they fare better. Like, there's data and research behind that. And so we can't just turn a blind eye on what diversity, equity, and inclusion has done, because it's not just a black and white thing. It's not like, oh my God, now black people can get hired. No, women, right, of all colors, will benefit from diversity, equity, and inclusion. Children of all walks of life, all disabilities, will be able to benefit from the inclusion part of diversity, equity, and inclusion. Equity doesn't mean you and me are going to get the exact same thing, right? It doesn't mean that me and you are going to be neck and neck. It means I need
some sort of like equality of outcome of some sort.
Absolutely, right? It's here's this platform, right? I'm shorter than you, you're taller than me. How about we all have the exact same platform so that we all can have a fair chance at getting to the finish line.
Right.
And it's just as simple as that. And that's you shouldn't need a program, right, for you to be able to see that. But in this world of patriarchy, in this world of just not really giving a damn about those who are othered, we have to stand firm, and we have to continue to make sure they deliver on promises of equity. So I don't know if that answers your question.
No. That was a perfect. That was a perfect wraparound. I like how you tied the acronym back into your statement.
Yeah.
That was actually that actually felt really complete. I appreciate you delving deep into that. I mean, again, you've been an educator for over 20 years, so you know what's lacking and what's needed, right? Which is why you damn near want to reinvent the whole system.
Yes.
And so, is there like a particular advantage of charter schools versus, I guess, some kind of like unified district or any other forms of education out there?
Yes. Charter schools are still public schools. And I think that's always the misperception. It's like we are a private, entity that get private money, and the founders that open it have all this money. No, we are still a public school, but we are a school of choice.
Got it.
Which means we're still publicly funded, and we either have the opportunity as charter schools to be dependent on our neighboring school district or independent from that neighboring school district. The difference is that neighboring school district would still have a say in the interworkings of your school, or independent, meaning you all you got. And you got to be willing to be all you need. And what I mean by that is the funding that we get is just that. We don't get anything more. And so to make up that shortfall, you become a 501c3 organization. We are a nonprofit.
Where you can take donations.
Absolutely.
Or anything. Right.
And so there's a business side of charter schools, and then there's the education side of charter schools. People have to realize that as a charter school, you are, like us, independent. We've chosen to be independent. While it brings about a level of, what's the word? I forget the word. Sorry, guys. Thank you. That's the word.
What was it?
Autonomy.
Autonomy.
And so there's a level of autonomy that we have as charter schools. And that is the beautiful thing about building your own school, creating your own school, because now you don't have to wait for anyone to tell you when you can change besides your board, right? And so what I mean by that is if a curriculum is not working, change it.
Right, as opposed to what? Like,
as opposed to waiting on a adoption that school districts have to have.
oh wow.
That come around maybe every 7 to 10 years.
Oh
So
my
you're
gosh.
talking about your baby is reading things that have taken place
Right.
way back. It's not culturally relevant, not about her melanin in her skin, not about, the way technology has advanced. And so you have these antiquated systems that school districts are tied to because of unions, because of just all of the bureaucracy or all of the bullshit, as I say, that adults bring into education, right? Because people want to talk about the kids. I always say it's not the kids,
Right.
it's the adults, right? So
Call them out.
yeah, you take it a step further and you think about curriculum companies.
Curriculum companies. Here we go.
Okay,
What is
that
this?
that create the textbooks that
Are you talking about like McGraw and like whatever, all
Look
those
at
generic
you.
things?
Yeah,
I know
you
a thing or
remember,
two.
you
I know a thing or two. Yeah, that's the only thing I remember.
exactly. But look, we're still using McGraw-Hill to this day,
Okay.
right?
Is
And
that
so
like a-
that's what I mean. Like if you're not in a progressively situation or a progressive situation like a charter school that has the autonomy to say, hey, year after year, this curriculum has failed our kids. Let's try something new. One, that takes some serious like boss shit to be like,
Right.
we gonna change it up. And that is the most beautiful thing I can say that charter schools provide. That's that autonomy. But when you talk about textbooks, right? The
And just
word
like
in
the quality of the education,
yeah,
right?
absolutely. They're coming from Texas.
Yeah.
Textbooks, Texas. So when you
wow.
peel back another layer, all of your majority of your big curriculum that we use nationwide are corporations and housed in the state of Texas.
Oh wow.
Okay. So we know what we know about Texas. Texas is a red state, unapologetically, right? We all
And
know that.
Unironically, all my exes live in Texas too.
Look at that. Run, Johnny, run.
So that's what we got in common.
But being a red state that is producing the nation's textbooks, these textbooks are going to blue states.
Yeah.
Right? They're going to other parts, but our kids are being indoctrinated into a specific type of curriculum that came out of a particular state. Right? And then we want to say, oh, well, we don't need diversity, equity, inclusion.
I see.
Well, if you motherfuckers would have started in the beginning and implemented that shit from the jump, we wouldn't need no programs. You are correct. But because your thought process is to erase all of the ingenuity that Black brilliance brings, that Hispanic culture brings, right? You can't do away with a program that's in your face telling you, yo, you gotta do this right, especially by these kids. Because it's one thing for us to teach them in a book, Johnny, but it's a whole nother situation when you are focused on realizing that these 25, 30 babies looking back at you every day have to go into this world. So it goes beyond the textbook. You gotta be prepared to give them back to the earth so that they can inherit it.
Well, you're giving me a lot to talk about, Tiffany. You had mentioned back in our private discussions where there was a mass disparity between the levels of accountability from traditional public schools and charter schools, and maybe even specifically yours uniquely.
Let's go.
Right?
Yes.
And so when we see a failure of, let's say, leadership or proper education or implementation of programs to effectively raise these kids, teach them, even with the end goal of raising their test scores, versus teachers who don't really care. They get paid by, I don't know, the hour, salary, whatever. When they have tenure, they're not going anywhere. Their level of achievement is not their concern because their position is secured.
Absolutely.
Right? So let's go ahead and dive into that.
So as a charter school, we go through a process called petitioning.
Okay.
Your petition is usually granted to be implemented for 5 years, 7 years, or less.
Okay.
Maybe they just want to give you a shot and say, hey, let's see if you can do this.
Okay.
But then you have renewal periods. So every 5 to 6 years, you have to go back to the county office or your neighboring school district if they're your authorizer and say, this is what I've done over the past 3 years. Can you please give me another shot? Right? You have to constantly be proving yourself. And I go back to the fact that we're a nonprofit. I go back to the fact that we're independently funded and that we don't have all these extra pots of money that we can dip into. But we're still expected to make those same gains. We're still expected to take a baby who's reading at a 5th grade level, but they're in 8th grade. We're still expected with minimal resources as a charter school to go from a kid basically having 175 or 180 days to be able to make these miracles. Right? This miracle of Sally is reading at a kindergarten level, but baby girl's in the 6th grade. Like, what are we doing? How did we even get here? So when you talk about learning loss that happened in COVID, this shit was here before that. COVID exasperated it. COVID took the lid off of it. And now everybody's like in uproar, like, damn, the test scores have never been this bad.
Oh, wow.
Well, yeah, because you guys threw money at a problem that the money is now drying up 2 years later, because you can't just supplant the situation just with money, right? It has to be a supplement. And in order for it to be a supplement, that means the main ingredient got to get its shit together. And so if the schools are not having their shit together to start with, and we throw money on it for a few years, what happens when that money dries up? And so then you take a school district. They don't have to ask for shit, Johnny. They don't have to be renewed. They don't have to prove themselves. They can be disproportionate in having an exuberant amount of black kids, black boys
Right.
in special education and have to pay millions of dollars to the state for having been this egregious and saying, no, it's our teaching practices, it's our lack of classroom management, it's our lack of making sure that the opportunity gap meets the achievement gap of all children and not just the 90746 Beverly Hills children.
Right.
Right? It is the most egregious time, egregious institution that remains generation after generation unchecked. It is like you go to the same high school in your family and those same teachers are there. And those same teachers are known to be the most horrible fucking teachers.
Right.
And it's like common knowledge, oh, don't get Miss So-and-so.
Yeah, she sucks.
She sucks.
Yeah.
Well, shit, she been there for 20 years. How long Miss So-and-so been sucking? Like,
Right.
what we doing?
Right.
When are you going to say enough is enough? Well, she's protected after 3 years in most districts because now she has tenure.
3 years is all it takes?
That's all it takes.
Dang.
You know how,
Right.
listen,
Oh my God.
how comfy is that shit? And then people wonder why charter
That is
schools have a
cozy.
problem getting teachers. Well, we're at will employers.
Right.
You not doing what's best for kids at one of my schools,
gone.
you can go.
Right.
Because what we do is for kids. We don't do this for adults, right? The kids is our customer. Those babies sitting in those seats
Right.
is the reason why the lights are on at the schoolhouse, which
Right.
means the lights are on at your house. And so in order for us to really understand the difference between charter schools and traditional public schools, we have to be willing to confront all of the disparities and the being okay with having a failing school and never having no one come in for checks and balances. You know how many times I gotta sit and have checks and balances with the director of charter schools? You know how many like presentations me and my team have to get ready for every year to go and continue to prove ourselves versus the district down the street who continues to be dismal in their test scores, don't have to do shit. Like, we are literally a mile apart.
Yeah, that is a little weird.
Y'all come to my school campus at least twice a school year. I worked in districts. I've worked in multiple levels of K-12 education.
Right.
And I can tell you, I have never, not a one time, seen no one from the top.
Right.
We talking the county office or the state board
Right.
coming to my campus ever. But a charter school, we see you at least two times a year. We got to come and prove ourselves to you.
Right.
What we doing? Like, if we have to prove ourselves, they should have to prove themselves.
Yeah, I feel like that's only fair.
If we just gonna let them be, dropout factories, right? Then let us do our thing. Because I'm telling you, if they was doing they shit, Johnny, charter schools wouldn't fucking exist today. Somebody, somewhere, we won't go that deep, had the foresight to say, hey, look, this shit is not working. Right? And all charter schools are not created equal.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I can
Okay?
see that.
You do have your big network schools that are money machines.
Yeah.
That look at kids that look like me and you and see dollar signs
Jeez,
only.
That's dark. Yeah.
Okay, you're talking about some of the most blackest communities having the most charter schools in it because they had to take these babies from these schools that were failing them. Well, now they're just serving another purpose for a different master, if you will. So going back to your original question, the disparities or the differences that exist between traditional public schools and charter public schools are really the fact that we are expected to do more with less.
Yeah, see, you Rodney's giving you some promise.
Like, that's
Right.
it, right?
Yeah.
You're talking, when you talk about funding, an eighth grader down the street at the local district is going to get $20,000, right? Average daily attendance, and we'll talk about that later.
Of course.
You're going to get $20,000 for this eighth grader that's sitting in your seat.
Okay.
You're a district. Well, 1 mile back this way over here at this charter school, guess how much we're going to get for that same eighth grader?
How much?
$14,000.
That seems like an awful big gap.
So when you talk about the achievement gap, you also have to talk about the opportunity gap. And so if we got to make up a good $6,000 to educate the same kid, to get the same kid to move from her 5th grade reading level to 8th grade in 180 days, you tell me what the disparity is, what it really comes down to. Like, it doesn't take a rocket scientist. It is the most egregious time in our educational system right now. And the unfortunate thing is that charter schools are going to be the first to go. In a lot of places, charter schools are the mecca for so many things. I want to tell you how charter schools will take your baby in. She hasn't gotten her hair done. You haven't had time because you're working. You're trying to keep food on the table. You can bring her to us at this charter school, and by the time you pick that baby up, her hair is done, whether it's in braids, a protective style, because there is somebody on that campus that is going to love your child beyond what's in that book. You are going to have a baby lose a loved one, a mother, a father, and fight tooth and nail to come to school, because our school, our charter school, is a safe haven for them. So when you talk about the difference between a charter school and a traditional district school, there are so many. But the life that charter schools breed into our children, charter schools like mine, because again, we're not all created equal.
Of course.
We have the ability to be the beacons in these children's lives so that they can come back. You know, I have a former student working for me right now. Right? I met this baby as a 6th grader when I was teaching middle school English. And a lot of what you see around my school has to do with him and his friends sitting with me at lunchtime, telling me what they wish their school was like.
Oh, wow.
Right? I'm like, okay, I'm the popular teacher on campus. Everybody know to go to Miss Gilmore's classroom at lunch. We about to do some productive disruption here, okay? Y'all not just gonna be up in here disrupting my peace. We gonna be productive.
Of course.
So if the school is so horrible, what would you do to make the school better? What do you need your school to be like for you to achieve? And they just started throwing this shit out there, Johnny. So I'm eating it up. Like, okay, all right. You know, they like, we know we got to learn how to code. Like, we're talking about 6th and 7th graders who are talking about coding. Well, I want to learn how to be a chef. How come we can't have culinary arts? So I'm taking all of these mental notes. And to be able to walk down my hallway now and see one of those babies who was so instrumental in the creation of what we now call Garvey Island is a full circle moment for me. to be able to say, I not only enriched this young man academically, he felt a loving nature and an affinity to keep up with me and me be that teacher in his life that all kids need, right? Because I look like him, I talk like him, I understood him, I come from the same background as him and his family, and now be able to hire him, that shit is huge.
Yeah.
Again, can't nobody do it like me.
Yeah.
And so what comes with that is the parent aspect of it. What I mean by that is, I'm gonna just say his name, Keon's mom had to be willing to allow me into her village, right? What that looked like was me using the years of experience as an educator, me being a mother, me understanding the life of a single parent household like she was. She entrusted me with her most prized possession, and that was her baby, right? And that's the thing about charter schools, and specifically my charter school. We're not for everyone, right? Like, we don't have these magic portal fucking doors where you can drop your kid off, they walk in, and voila, you pick them up and they're fixed, right? Like, you gotta put the work in as the parent. You have to believe in what we believe in as an institution, so that it's not just during the school day that they're getting all of the great things that we instill in them, and then you pick them up and then it just goes down the drain, and then the next morning we got to redo the shit again, right? Like, as the parent, you have to almost fall in love with the institution's members, right? That's me and my thought process and how I created the petition and what our overall goal is, which is Black and brown excellence, right? You as the parent have to be willing to allow us to talk to your kid just like you talk to them. Like, let's be real, right? You have to be willing to allow us to parent. Right? Like, that's in ed code. While the kid is with you as the schoolhouse, you are their custodial parent for that time. So if you say you want a village, you got to be willing to accept the villagers of the village. And just because you want a village don't mean your village move like my village.
Right. Absolutely.
Right? And so at Garvey Allen, it is really important for people to not let Instagram like mystify where we are. Like, don't get caught up in the shit we let you see. Right? It takes hard work. This is a grassroots organization. Your kid is going to be participating in volunteer activities, right? We're going to need you to kick in community service, right? We need you to patrol the hallways. We need the dads to kick in and help secure the perimeter, right? Like, this isn't a microwave type of success that we're talking about. It's going to take parental involvement beyond you just thinking the school is responsible for everything for your kid. Like, the reason why teachers are so fucking burnt out is the fact that they not only have to educate these kids, they have to provide them how to be amazing characters, right? Character development.
That's right. You guys do that.
Social emotional, right? I always say, like, if a kid is not socially and emotionally well, they can't be academically well. So we gotta like check off the boxes before we can even get to the education. Because did, Susie have a bad morning in the car? Was she getting yelled at? Right? Was she watching her baby brother last night because mommy had to work, graveyard shift, and now she's coming to school and she's like checked out because she's tired as hell. Like, these are the things that we have to combat before the academics can take place. Again, the parent, you got to kick in and you have to trust us, because there's a reason why you chose us and not the school down the street. right? And I can say as a charter school, when it comes to my parents and those past parents, if you will, that have left us, I liken it to this, Johnny. You can go to McDonald's and they can tell you that sundae machine, the ice cream machine is out. You're going to go at least once a week, but you're going to keep coming back. Yeah. Hopefully this machine going to work, right? Hopefully this time it's going to work. Well, at my charter school, we do one thing that you not liking and you out the door, right? But yet you're the same type of parent who talks about, oh, we need charter schools for black kids. Yeah, oh, we need somebody to stand up to be the leader for the community. And here I am standing tall, bold, unafraid, unapologetic, like, hello, right? Here is my school, the ask of opening our own school, right? Here we are, but yet we do one thing that you don't agree with and you taking them out and down the street. Well, how is that going to sustain in our community?
You're just throwing the baby out with the bathwater.
Absolutely.
That's ridiculous.
And I'll take it a step further. If you letting, Kevin come home and tell you, Mom, the reason why I'm failing is because I keep having all these teachers coming in and out my classroom. And you take that as face value. Right. And you come up to the schoolhouse ready to curse us out because Kevin failing, because it's our fault, right? But not ask the adults what's really going on. What are we doing right now? Your kid is running your household. Right. And those are the conversations that we're not having, right? If a kid can come to you and be like, Mom, they got too many rules there. And you can write on a paper of withdrawal from my school that you're taking your kid out. Yeah. Because he said, y'all got too many rules. Sis, what are we doing?
That's funny.
Who's running the house? Like, I've never seen this. I didn't grow up like this. Like, kids' choice of their academics is fucking bananas to me. Right? And there's no way that you chose Garvey Allen just out of the blue. No, you chose us because the alternative ain't shit.
Right. That's
okay?
A bar.
So when you make them leave us, right? When you withdraw them, you taking them back to shit. What we doing? Yeah. It's this round and round mulberry bush, right? That we're continuing to do the same thing, right? Which is madness, but thinking we're going to have a different outcome. Right. So Garvey Allen is not for everyone. Yeah. We're just not. We're not for every kid. We're not for every parent. So that means we ain't for every teacher either. You're going to work at Garvey Allen. If you think that you're going to come in here because you're black and all the kids are going to respect you because you're black, and you don't have to do lesson plans, you don't have to have classroom management, you don't have to build rapport, relationships, you don't have to kick in and pick up paper on the floor and you looking for somebody else to pick it up, bro, ain't nobody picking that up. You going to have to pick it up. We're a charter school. We can't afford that. It ain't janitors walking around here. Okay? What we doing? Right. Because you the same kind of teacher that will be down the street complaining about, oh my God, this is horrible. Look at the bathrooms and shit. But yet you come to a place that is beautiful, Achiever Universe. Right. But treat you don't want to pick up some paper off the goddamn floor. Right. Right? Crazy. Like, we are in a point in time in education where people who didn't grow up like me playing dolls in school and putting name tags on my bears and my Cabbage Patch dolls, right? This is what I was born to do. Like, this is my purpose, right? I believe that, I walk in that, or I wouldn't be doing this shit. This is hard work, right? Hard work. Like, you gotta be willing. This has to be a passion. Right? But we're beyond that right now, Johnny. Like, we're hiring people who just need a fucking job.
Yeah, it's true.
Who have a degree.
That's very true.
That can hit the mark of being able to qualify under the state of California and say, guess what? Here's your keys. Here's your roster. Enjoy. But you don't want to do a lesson plan? You think you above professional development? You got all the answers, but you a first year teacher? You're a teacher who never done this before?
Wow.
Bro, agents of chaos. Agents of chaos.
I like how you brought that back
Like,
full circle.
you have to understand that you can't just step in this damn classroom and wing it, bro. Like, and then you expect for the kids to just sit down and be quiet and be meek and mild while you get it together. No, the same type of excellence that you are requiring from them is the same damn excellence you should be giving to them and that I'm requiring of you. Like, there's a trickle up expectation at Garvey Allen, right?
Wow.
And there is a time and a place where we as a dream team come together and we're like, yeah, no, this teacher gotta go. And guess what, Johnny? It might just be the second week of school. It might be the second month of school.
Wow.
Shit, they might be able to last all year and they just not be able to come back. But again, that is because my school is not for everyone. You have to be willing to not only identify with our mission and vision, you gotta be willing to like ride this shit out. Cause you cannot tell me you don't see the proof in what I've done.
Right.
You can't tell me that you can go on my Instagram and the same school that you're looking at yesterday is the same school you could scroll down to, 4 or 5 months ago, years ago. Like, I got a proven track record of doing this. Like, the data is there. When you talk about the achievement gap,
Talk about it.
We are there, right? Like, we are right there. And when I say that, I mean, when you look at the dashboard in California has all of these colors.
Okay.
You want to be blue and green, Johnny. You got to be blue and green.
Is that like high test schools?
That's like out of this world astronomical shit we talking, Johnny.
Oh, wow.
Blues and greens, okay? They had to break it down that fucking simple, okay? Then you got your yellows, you got your orange, and you got your reds.
And again, what is this?
So this is the dashboard of achievement. This is what the color wheel.
The colors represent what?
The colors, red is bad.
Okay.
Bad.
Right.
And then you going around your color wheel. So you go to, I think it's orange next, then maybe yellow, blue, and then green. I might be messing that up. Okay.
Sure.
But I just know I need to get to blue and green.
Right.
Because nothing else fucking matters. Right. And so when I look at my school right now, we are now in the orange.
As opposed to?
Red down the street.
Wow.
Okay. So while orange is just one step up, damn it, Johnny, we are a step up, right? And we are right there at the mark of moving ourselves closer to those blues and greens.
Wow.
But you know how we got there?
How?
Being unafraid to say, this shit ain't working. This teacher ain't working. We are a school of choice. This may not be the school for you. Like, being unafraid to say what it is.
Setting your standards.
We are no longer begging for people to get us. Like, we don't seek the people. You feel me? Like, I didn't seek you to apply.
Right.
You saw my posting and you applied to my school, right? I posted an enrollment video. It struck a chord with you for your family and your baby. You applied to be here, right? And so there was something there that drew you in. Ride it out. Or you got to get off the rocket ship, because we are Achiever Universe.
Right.
And let the rocket ship continue to move.
That's right.
Because one thing we're going to do is we're going to continue to take off. We're going to continue to be the solution.
Absolutely.
We're going to continue being the great institution that we are and not dumbing down our expectations, because we are not for everybody. So when you talk about parents, when you talk about teachers, when you talk about achievers, students, I want you to believe everything they said about me, right? Everything that they said about me. Because if it's negative, it was an experience that they brought upon themselves.
Ooh.
If it was positive, it's because they picked up everything I was putting down because they trusted the fucking process. Okay? So regardless
That's a wrap.
of who you talk to,
Right.
whatever they say about Tiffany Gilmore, believe them because that was their experience with me.
Wow. That's your ask about me type moment.
Ask about me. Ask about me.
Oh my gosh. I remember you and I having a talk regarding COVID and everything that was like bad.
Yes.
Like the whole education. I mean, screw it. Just education aside, the whole world is basically on fire.
Yeah.
And your biggest problem was that even within the educational realm, COVID was wildly mismanaged because it only put kids at a disadvantage.
Yes.
Of all ages, whether it's in universities, whether it's in high schools, middle schools, elementary, etc. So what do you feel like went wrong there, and how did you guys combat that? I mean, because we only have one disaster like that, maybe
Once a generation, they
right?
say, yeah.
And it was really bad economically,
Absolutely.
health-wise, like it was
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah.
So, as an educator, what was your take on this entire?
Well, Johnny, you know, the crazy thing as I look back on it,
Yeah.
COVID showed itself in December 2019
Yeah.
at our school.
Oh wow.
Yeah, like people were sick. I was sick, like beyond any sickness we've ever experienced. Doctors
wow.
being like, I think it's the flu, but it's looking like something else. It was some shit that nobody knew, right? And so it was so bad that we had to like minimize the school day because we didn't have enough staff. And it wasn't no damn kids. Like everybody was getting sick and we did not know why.
Oh wow.
That's bringing us back into January 2020. And so we started hearing cases of the flu and stuff just popping up, like popping up in all of these schools and all of these districts. And then they came out with COVID-19. And so everybody's like, well, damn, is that what it is?
Right.
Right. But by now, everybody is understanding that this is some crazy shit happening.
Absolutely.
And it's affecting now the kids and it's affecting schools. And so I said to my husband, I said, they gonna close the schools.
Right.
And he was like, nah, ain't no way.
There's no way.
There's how?
How?
Sway. And I'm just like, bro, I got it.
Yeah.
The foresight to be able to see beyond is something like it's just in me.
That's
like,
that's a visionary. You a modern prophet.
I am a visionary, right? So in being a visionary, you have to be
Anticipate.
2-3 steps ahead.
Yeah.
Yes, you have to anticipate. So I started creating a virtual program
Come on.
before anybody said shut this shit down.
Right.
Cause I'm like, look, either we gonna implement it at this school or we gonna implement it as a virtual school. One way or another, we gonna win, right? And so I started creating this virtual program and met with my board and had an emergency board meeting. And I told them, I said, listen, it is getting really bad. We look like we need to move spring break up. The reason why is because I need to give this a good 2 weeks because we give a 2-week break. I need to give a good 2 weeks to figure out what the hell is going on. Because this, like, we cannot manage this. We don't have kids, we don't have staff, and the world is just kind of in this frenzy and everybody's just trying to go along with our lives, but we all looking around like this shit is not right.
Right.
So they approved it. So we moved spring break up. Well, it was a Thursday and I could see it like, I could just see I'm sitting at my desk
Okay.
and I'm like, you know what? We're going to start it today because they gave me that leeway in the board meeting.
Okay.
Tomorrow don't need to happen. Meaning Friday is not important. It's a short day anyway. They already approved if we needed to take that day to do whatever to implement that 2-week break we were going to have, do it. So I did it. I made an email. I sent it to all of the staff. I said, I need you to send your kids home with every book, textbook, workbook, send them home with everything.
Right.
Don't ask me no questions. We will have a staff meeting after work.
Right.
Right? And then I just went around the campus, making sure everybody was doing just that. Well, by the end of the day, LAUSD made the announcement that they are closing schools.
Shut up.
My rep, Fatima of California Charter Schools Association, formerly, she is just the most amazing person. You have to meet her one day. Fatima called and she was like, Miss Tiffany, if LAUSD closed, you know we're next. I need you to get your people ready. I'm like, girl, you know I'm already ready. I stay ready. Right? This is what I do.
So you don't have to get ready.
I don't have to get ready, Johnny. So they called it.
Okay.
And before all of us could kind of just get our bearings that LAUSD closed, because I mean, you're talking one of the biggest districts in our nation. When they make a move like that, it's the inevitable that the rest of us are going to have to make that move.
Right.
Because somewhere somebody thought it was sustainable enough or an issue or a state of emergency enough to close one of our biggest school districts down. Yeah, you better believe we about to close down too. And that was the announcement. It came. But guess who was at home with their feet up, boo? Okay. Me. Continuing to create this online platform. So when the rest of the world was like, well, we don't know what to do. Kids got to just stay out of school. Not Garvey Island's kids. I created a whole, I don't even know what you want to call it. Let's just say a master schedule for the kids. It had links by period. You click a link, guess what? Your first period teacher is right there on the screen. I sent them home with a backdrop so that they can still feel the culture that is Garvey Island. They had to show up on camera in uniform, no questions asked. That camera better be on, right? We had staff standing by Miss Perry. If any teacher achievement guide said such and such isn't online or such and such camera is off, we got staff to handle that and call the mama or the kid. We stopped bothering the parents. Now we calling the kid. Get on that damn camera.
Smart.
Okay, what are we doing right now? Your mama at work in the other room, right? Like we all gotta be the village that we say we are.
Right.
And in that,
I like that accountability.
Yes, we were able to grow our enrollment in COVID.
Bingo.
Boom. Why? Because the schools down the street got a union. Well, the union says they can only be on camera or teach for a certain amount of days or a certain amount of times. So you got some teachers teaching for 2 hours. You got some kids in school for an hour. They just got to check it. Like it was some wild shit going on. Okay. So parents was like, well, how is my kid going to continue to get educated?
That sounds about right.
Well, Garvey Island is the answer. And Garvey Island was the answer.
I don't understand. So they had restrictions on how much time the teachers had to teach virtually. How does that have any bearing on whether or not it's virtual or in person? Like, shouldn't it be the same?
Well, remember I told you that the bullshit is in the adults, not the kids.
Oh, Tiffany.
Okay? The bureaucracy, the red tape.
Wow.
Right? Like, again, are we in this business for kids or for adults?
So anybody who has less access to a top-tier education is virtually screwed.
Or at least go to an educational institution in a not nice environment or community where you got people that look like you that give a damn.
Well, I mean, even on a higher scale, right? Like, I mean, all the top tier universities, they had to do the same thing. So now I'm paying what, 50, 60, 100 grand just to learn in my own home.
Hello.
There's no way in hell that's going to happen.
Like, how are we going to continue to sustain this, guys, right? And the program that we created, Johnny, was such a robust program that we were able to rebrand. We were able to market ourselves as this academy who is timely, who is culturally relevant, who will expect the very best, not just of the student, but of the parent and of the educators that walk in this door. Like, we are the Mecca for Black and brown excellence unapologetically.
Wow.
And we have a proven track record of that. You're talking going from 112 kids pre-COVID to going to 215 kids. Like, while everybody else was losing enrollment because kids were checking out, kids were going to homeschool, virtual learning, districts was losing out on money because kids was dropping like flies. We over here, we ain't bothered. We not worried. And that is the ingenuity of being a visionary. That is what it takes to be dope. You have to be willing to step out there and make the decision for the masses, right? You have to be willing to say, I was chosen for this, and I'm going to ride and rise to the occasion. And that's not just a regular principal. That's not just a regular old superintendent or a CEO, right? Like, anybody can apply for those damn jobs. But is that really your passion? Is this really what you were put on this earth to do? Most of the time, no, but I was. I am.
Right.
And I will continue to be. And sometimes that comes with being a villain.
Yeah.
Sometimes that comes with being a bitch. That comes with being snarky.
Yeah.
Right? It's, do you want to be right or do you want to win? No, baby, I'm going to be right and I'm going to win. Like, what are we talking about? Yeah. Like, I don't do choices. I'm taking it all.
Right.
And why wouldn't you want me to stand in front of your baby and be the superintendent? Why wouldn't you want a woman who knows who she is, knows where she comes from, can walk down the streets in Watts and then talk to you in the boardroom? Like, why wouldn't you want that type of experience of over 20 years being at the helm of your child's educational institution, the beginning stages of their K-12 journey? It ain't me, it's them.
Wow.
You gotta be able to come over here and take all of the greatness that Tiffany Gilmore is so that I can bless your baby.
Wow.
Because I've been doing this for so long. I have been doing this. Like I told you, he graduated from UCLA. He was one of the top football players.
Wow.
Right? I have subs that have come that were my students who have master's degrees. Right? I have students who are about to send their own kids to my school.
Damn.
I have students who have kids sitting in my school. Like, the reach that I have just in Moreno Valley, okay, is astronomical.
Sounds like it.
Right? And so when you sit in these rooms and you're talking about, we need these schools just for Black kids, we need these schools for Black and brown kids, who's going to do it? And I do it, but now you got a problem with me? Oh, you wanted the school opened, but you just didn't want me to open it. I got you, sis. I got you. I see you. I see you. But at the end of the day, I did it. And can't nobody tell me I didn't do it. We on our second school now.
Wow.
I started with middle school. Now we're K through 8.
K through 8, that's it.
And we're going into year 7.
Wow.
right? Like businesses don't last beyond what they say, a year?
1 to 3 years.
1 to 3 years. In my first year, I was shut down with COVID.
Right.
Like,
That's a flex.
hello?
That's a flex.
We opened our school doors in August of 2019 and had to close our doors in February of 2020 and still sustain.
That's incredible.
Like,
That's incredible. Wow.
again, I ain't for everybody.
Right.
My school is not for everybody. But we are for those who are willing to be dope. We are here for those willing to productively disrupt some shit. We not here for agents of chaos. And when we find you, because somebody on the squad gonna find you.
Right.
Okay, the G unit gonna see you. All right. That's me and my dean team and my director of operations. When the G unit finds the agents of chaos, you gotta go. And that's the beautiful thing about Garvey Allen. That is the beautiful thing about being a charter school and having the autonomy that we have. That is the beautiful thing about being a visionary. Because again, there's so many people who want to be a principal, so many people who want to be an administrator, and so many of them need to stay their ass in the classroom. Or not. Go find another damn profession.
Absolutely.
Okay, so don't get it twisted. Like, I'm not over here, all administrators and leadership. No, I didn't come from some serious dysfunctional fucking leaders. Right?
Sounds about right.
But what we have to understand is that as educators, there is a level of accountability you have to have. There is a level of compassion you have to have. There are soft skills that you have to have. And it takes you being in the classroom and always leading from a teacher mindset and not getting so caught up on these power trips. And I think so many times principals, right, get caught up in a title of being a fucking principal. And it's no secret in education that the assistant principals and the deans actually do all the work. Okay? And the principals get all of the accolades for it. True principals are going to lead their institutions and they are going to be phenomenal. But they are far and few in between, Johnny, right? That is why I had to get rid of the title principal, the position principal at Garvey Allen. Because I didn't hire them, I didn't fire them. And I've had to become the principal. I've had to become the teacher. I've had to become the CEO and the superintendent all simultaneously.
Wow.
Because the hard work that it takes to understand that we put kids first, the hard work that it takes to understand that you are no bigger than the school and those that are looking for your leadership, like, I can't teach you that. You got to come in with that. Right? I'm just going to like sprinkle my dope dust on it or something. Dope dust. Wait a minute.
That's right.
All right. I'm just going to sprinkle that thing on there and you go forth and be great. Right? But I had to get rid of the title and be such a visionary where I said, you know what? We need deans. We need deans because the principal position is too heavy of a load for one person in today's society.
That makes sense.
It is way too heavy. So while that is the antiquated way that traditionally schools are ran, I told you, I intentionally do everything opposite of what the traditional system does. 100%. And that was create 3 positions for 3 deans. A dean of curriculum and instruction, a dean of social emotional learning and support services, and a dean of culture. Because in the DOPE Educator's guidebook of how to be successful, those are the 3 areas that are going to move your school.
Wow.
And so if one person is responsible for 3 areas at one time, we are not going to reach the gains that we need to make in 175 or 180 days. Mm-hmm. And so I have implemented that model into Garvey Allen. Mm-hmm. And it is a model that has been so successful.
Wow.
There's no power trips going on. Mm-hmm. If somebody wants to know who's at the top, like who's the main guy to go to or the main person to go to, well, that's my director of operations.
Yeah.
Because she's right here. Mm-hmm. And right after her is going to be my head of school, dean of culture. Mm-hmm. And nobody gets caught up in this power struggle because everybody equally got some shit they gotta prove.
Yeah, absolutely.
Everybody equally has a specific title and a specific job description that I'm constantly checking off, and they're checking off too. There's no more guessing in running the school. I'm not leaving it to one person to be able to know all of these different facets. I have 3 and 4 people to be able to sustain our school. And you look at our school and it's small. And somebody might say, well, how come you need all of those administrators and you have, a small school environment? Well, that's intentional. We'll never be your 1,000, population school. That's not Garvey Allen's model. That's not any school I open model. Right. Because it's going to take a level of closeness. It's going to take a small school environment. And those 3 administrators will be able to affect so many more kids than just one.
Yeah.
So yes, we do have a lot of administrators, and that is to make sure that all of the work that has to be done for these children is done. And not only done just to check off a box, it's done with excellence. And it's done with the expectation that everything we do for kids.
Wow. Tiffany, you are a powerhouse of a woman. And
Thank
so I can't even wrap my mind around half the shit that you've accomplished. I mean, truly, this is incredible. So with everything that you've accomplished within a very short amount of time, if anybody wants to know more regarding what you're, not only just more about Garvey Allen, where could they go?
They can follow me on Instagram at official DOPE Educator.
Okay.
There you will find the wife, the mom, the CEO, the superintendent, the school founder. You will find the DOPE Educator. You will find all that is Tiffany Gilmore.
Okay.
And be able to follow the journey of what it looks like of taking a leap of faith into an unknown territory, into a territory that many have never tried to walk.
Yeah.
Following me and my life, you will see that as professional women, we don't have to just choose our profession over motherhood.
Absolutely.
Or our profession over becoming a wife. You can have it all. The shit ain't easy, right? Like, listen.
Absolutely.
However, there is an opportunity to see my life and say, I can too.
Yeah.
I cook, right? Like I throw down. So
what did I say? You said, I know I can be what I want.
That's it, be what I want to be.
That's
Yep,
right.
if I work hard at it. Yep. So exactly, like I'll post recipes on there, 30-minute little quick meals for moms like me.
Okay.
Right? To be able to implement that, we got to get back to understanding that educators are not superhuman, right? We may be heroes, but we're not superhuman. Yeah. We have a side of us that is normal, right? And I want to be able to have little girls, little boys, moms, dads, the community look at the DOPE Educator and be able to see themselves in me. I want them to see the productive disruptor that I am.
Yeah.
That they can go down my profile years and years and see the glow up. The glow up is real, Johnny, and it's undeniable, right?
Well, even on that note, if you can, because I know you also have a consulting side of what you're either doing or going to do.
Absolutely. First and foremost, I build schools.
Yeah. Okay.
And so I am able to take a aspiring school founder and teach them how to open their own school.
Wow.
But
Beautiful.
even more so than that, I'm a DOPE educator. And so I can teach that in a professional development
Absolutely.
for teachers. I can teach that to other mompreneurs who
Yep.
want to go into this. I can teach that to current CEOs and superintendents. And what is it that I can teach? Being unapologetically you. Right? Because
Like
that's
that.
what you're going to get with me. So over the next few months, we will be rolling out our consulting side of the DOPE Educator.
Brilliant.
And bringing that into the lives
That's
of
so cool.
educators all over.
Right.
Because it's pretty dope over here.
Yeah,
I mean,
it is
like,
dope.
what are we doing? It's dope.
And what's the phrase? Either watch us win,
Either you win with us or you watch us win.
and that's a wrap.
Wrap. Did I do it?
And cut.
You good? Did I hit it? More? Because we would be in the car, be like, damn, I should have said.